Um, Obviously, long day of baseball there. Getting those guys out for 9 innings is one thing. Getting them out for 18 is a whole other animal. I mean, those guys they're good. It's a long lineup. I think everybody gives a lot of attention to those top 3 guys, and they're well deserved. I mean, Grahovic's elite, Lavalette, Montgomery, those guys are awesome. But shoot, I've seen Ted Burton for years at Michigan. That guy's just a really good old baseball player, and I mean, it's just a long lineup and really good weapons on the mound. They throw strikes, they mix pitches, they have stuff, they have different looks. I thought in that first game it was kind of teed up the way we wanted it to be teed up. You're up 5-0 in the middle, and you got a fresh pin, and we just wasn't T-Faye's day today. And it was unfortunate because I think he was a really good matchup, and the good thing is we were able to get him out pretty quick, where we'll have him back ready to go for tomorrow. And then obviously drop that one, which was a tough one, but you turn right back around and you've got another one, and we could have checked it in. A lot of teams, man, second into the doubleheader, you go down 8-0, and you might as well just check. It's going to be a 7-inning run rule, and I thought our boys fought hard. We weren't good enough. We made some errors. It's never good when your starter's out of the game in the second, just with that line drive off his ankle. So it's a tough one, tough day. We've been really good at home. We've done some really good things at home. It's just a tough day, and I told our boys at the end, we can go sit down and break down all the good, all the bad. None of that matters. All that matters is how we show up tomorrow, and really what our mindset is, what our focus is, and what our intensity looks like. And I thought they fought hard in that second game when a lot of teams wouldn't, and that's the makeup of these kids. We just got to keep growing and keep getting better.
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, short turnaround. How does something like yesterday kind of impact the team's momentum? Kind of dressing up, getting ready, getting that hype, and then going into a late rain delay and ended up getting postponed and playing a long day on Friday. How does a type of day like yesterday, where it's a last-second postponement, kind of impact the team's momentum?
From a momentum standpoint, it's really not that big of a deal. These guys, they came and they took BP. It's what we'd have done if there was a rain out and we got them out. It's one thing if they were sitting here at 10 or 11 o'clock at night. We were able to get them out of here pretty early. It makes it tough. There's no secret we had a couple injuries in the pitching staff over the last, couple months. And so when you do that, you're having to play 2 in one day, it really kind of shortens your options, and you may have to extend some guys you don't want to extend as much, or you're trying to fight for the right situation to use a guy knowing that if they go too much today, they're A, not going to contribute in game 2 later in the day, and B, it's going to be hard for them to bounce back again tomorrow. So it's a challenge for both teams. It's a challenge. It tests your depth big time, particularly on the mound. So from a momentum standpoint, nothing too crazy there. More just a challenge of playing number 1 team in the country in 18 innings in one day is never easy.
Yeah, and speaking of injuries, Ben Hess went down in the second inning in game 2. How is he kind of feeling throughout the rest of the game in the dugout? And is there any kind of update on him, or is that something we'll figure out the severity of later?
Yeah, I don't have much of an update yet. I checked with one of our guys, and they said they hadn't seen him yet. So I know he's back in the dugout afterwards. So we'll get a better feel when we go in the locker room. Hopefully it hit him in a good spot. It's just where it hit him, and with pitchers, you just got to be smart. It was that front leg, and he started trying to throw, and when that plant leg's not steady, everything up the chain gets put at risk, and just not willing to do that to Ben out there today.
Coach Mack just said one of the bright spots in that second game, went 4 for 5 and had his first home run of the year. You've talked about how Bryce Evelyn really extends the lineup, but what's Mack's presence meant in that part?
I think since Kentucky, Mack's bats have just been really good. I thought, he's worked on a lot of stuff mechanically this year, and I told him the other day, I said, man, your mechanic's fine. Like, the mechanic, what you do is fine. We gotta move on the right pitches. We gotta take the right pitches. Stuff you guys heard me preach a million times. And he's doing a much better job of that. Not breaking his swing down, not getting in between. He's taking the pitches he should take, and he's moving on the pitch he should move on. And I thought his at-bats today were absolutely outstanding. And it's kind of been building up to this weekend. I think the last 10 days to 2 weeks, that guy's had really tough at-bats.
TJ McCants went 4 for 4 in the first game after having a kind of rough patch, and then in the second game he kind of cooled off. But what did you like about his at-bats in the first game especially?
Yeah, I think anytime TJ gets back in the left center, he's pretty good, and obviously that double he hit with 2 strikes, got a breaking ball and hammered it in that left center field gap with 2 outs. That was a big 2-out RBI for us. But he just looked on time. He looked like he had a really good plan today for the most part. There was a couple swings I thought he got in between on a little bit, kind of playing defense a little bit on. But some of that's a tribute to those A&M arms. I mean, those guys are no joke. It's what makes them impressive, and this is what's different with them in Arkansas as far as what we saw today was Arkansas has so much power. I mean, it is power. Now Cortez has elite stuff, and that's a power arm. But they just run different looks at you. You know, you got Cortez, who's huge, is 98 and disappearing. Then they bring in the sidearm guy. Then they bring in a lower sidearm guy. Then they have Ashton back. So they just give you some different looks. And I think when you do that, you know, especially left, some of those matchups left for TJ there at the end weren't awesome for any left-handed hitters. You looked at some of the numbers, it's like, man, guys are hitting about 100 on a couple of those guys. And so I think some of that second game was probably more of a testament to who they threw against him and the pitches they executed. But TJ's a big piece of this thing. For us to kind of get going, like we talked about Mac, talked about Ebbs, TJ's a huge piece to kind of lengthen that lineup.
How do you go about making sure that the guys don't get too downcast from this? Still have another opportunity to go out to the ballpark tomorrow and a big opportunity to potentially get a win against this team. What do you tell them with that being at the front of your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I was just super honest with them out there. I said, you know, we've been in this situation 2 times. They've both been on the road, but we've been in this situation 2 times where you're 0-2 and you're going into Sunday. And the first 2 times, I think we've played our worst game of the weekend on Sunday. So for us, it's like, let's acknowledge that. Let's not write. You know, I think too many times as coaches, like, let's not talk about it. They won't be thinking about it. That's dumb. Like, these kids know, they're not idiots. And we know we've got Zane Adams on the mound tomorrow. We know that they're going to run out a really good arm. And we also know that who knows with this weather, what the heck's going to happen tomorrow. You know, there's going to be rain. You could start, stop. It's going to be who knows what it looks like. So it's going to be a test of the maturity there. But, man, the best teams I've ever coached. And, you know, I go back to that 2022 team at Maryland. And one thing they talked about a lot in that group is we got thumped plenty of times. We hosted a regional that year, and the first time in school history. We got thumped a couple times that season, but man, the next day it was 0-0, and it was our day. We felt prepared, we felt ready, and we expected the win showing up to the yard, and that's what we've talked about a ton. That the SEC is a whole nother animal. Like, we went 22 consecutive weekends back at Maryland from April 21 till early this year that we didn't lose a Big Ten series. That just doesn't happen in this league. It's impossible to do that in this league. So in this league, what it's really about is the toughness and the grit that you can show throughout that. You know, when you are back against the wall, man, it's what good teams do. They find a way to salvage the weekend. We're at home, and we have a young pup on the mound, had a great outing last time, and is a good matchup for these guys, and we need him to go out there and do his job, and we need his hitters. I thought we had tough at-bats kind of throughout the day. You know, we probably left some guys on. I don't know how many we left on in game 2. I feel like we set it up quite a bit. We just got to play cleaner baseball on defense. That came up to bite us a couple times today. Cleaner baseball on defense, really have tough at bats, and then just go attack these guys. You know, they're good, but the only chance you have against a bully is to go attack the bully, and that's what we got to do with those guys tomorrow.
What do you think the vibe was of the locker room? Were they do you think the energy was okay, or do you think you need to go in and
kind of after the game or before?
Yeah.
No, I think they're fine. Like, you know, these guys are big boys. You know, this is big boy baseball here, and you have to understand how to navigate hard times. And I would actually be disappointed if I walked in that locker room and the music was bumping and everybody was partying there. Like, you know, but I also am never that coach. I'm not the coach where it's like we get on the bus and you guys have to sit in silence for 5 hours every time we lose. Like, it should hurt. It should sting. I expect them to, but it's 7 o'clock. They've got till about 7:30, and they need to flip their mind to how we're going to go win tomorrow. Like, I would, these kids invest so much into this that when it doesn't go your way, man, it hurts, and it should. But I trust the makeup of this group, you know, and we're short in some areas, we're thin in some areas, and that's the nature of injuries. That's the nature of college athletics. But I trust the makeup of this group, and I don't have any doubts that they're going to show up and throw their punch tomorrow. But like I've told them from day one, like, you throwing your punch and you showing up with great energy and great focus doesn't guarantee anything, you know, but it gives you a chance to get in there and lock horns with a good team, and that's why we're all here. It's a heck of a lot more fun when you go line up against a team like that's going to be probably playing pretty deep into June, and it's a great opportunity for us to come back and respond and leave this weekend feeling good about ourselves.
Yeah.
Another day, great day at the plate for Justin LeBron. How has he been impactful for you guys? I mean, just everywhere, like in the locker room, offensively and defensively.
He's just, you know, I said it kind of from day one, he's just so mature for a young freshman. Like, the way he carries himself, it's, you know, he's had some tough games like we all have at times this year, but he handles it in a super mature fashion. There's probably only one other kid that I've coached that's kind of been as mature about that as he is, and that kid was a first rounder last year, you know, and not comparing skills, not comparing hitter, shortstop, whatever. Just mentality. And Braun is competitive. He wants to win, but he's so mature beyond his years because he's had struggles this year. But you usually see with the young freshman somewhere that thing starts to spiral out of control, and he's been mature enough that when it starts going bad, he steps back, he gets back in there, and he kind of stops the bleeding. And Justin LeBron is going to be the face of this thing as we move forward. Like, he's a young pup that's got a bright future. Like, just like, AD was last year. AD's the face of what we're doing. Like, those are guys that they love this place. They care about their teammates. They're super mature. They're really proud of Braun's effort today and throughout the whole year. I mean, we went into the year. I didn't met Justin LeBron until I went and sat at his family's house this summer, and dude's hitting in the 3-hole against the #1 team in the country and hits 2 pumps today. Like, the guy's doing all right. So it's a good thing to build around as a coach coming in, both kind of looking short term and long term. You look at a guy like him, and you're really fortunate that you have a huge puzzle piece as we continue to put this thing together and continue building this thing.
Coach, how big is it in a doubleheader to have guys go out there and eat innings up with Colson Buchanan outing? I mean, 3 innings eaten up after Ben had a sexting early. I mean, he didn't show it on the score sheet for allowing 4 runs, but just to eat up innings, how big is that for tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, it was really big because you're looking at that, and that's with college baseball. You have a 27-man roster, that you're playing with. So yeah, we have 40 guys on the team, but 27 are active for this weekend, and that's just how it works. And so, you don't have 18 pitchers at your disposal for the weekend. You probably have somewhere around 12 or 13. And in a doubleheader where you sit some guys in the first one, you're not wanting to go AD somewhere when you're down 14-9, so you're having to be smart. And I thought Buck did a great job. I thought he executed some pitches. They got some hits off of him, but we make an error and then hit, got him, and then I think the other one went down at a hit, but it was probably a coin flip hit error, and then Grahovic hits a homer. Like, I thought Buck competed his tail off today, and I was really proud of his effort. I thought he did a great job being thrust into a tough situation. Like you said, was able to eat up some innings and keep us from having to go get another guy. So I thought he did a great job.
Yeah.
All right. You got it.
Okay, sorry. Coach Greg Fone had a little bit, the switch was made for him to go before Ben Hess this weekend, had a little bit of a shorter turnaround than he usually does. What did you kind of see from him on the mound in game 1 today that you liked?
Yeah, I thought he gave us a really good start. I thought he was really good, and it kind of worked out. Like, as much as none of us or the Ags wanted to play a doubleheader, it kind of gave Greg an extra day, which was nice, because really he was only 1 day short, which isn't really crazy. I mean, had we kept everybody kind of on schedule, he'd have been a day short anyway. But I thought he threw the ball really well. His stuff wasn't quite as crisp in the 5th, when he came back out. Like, the fastball was down just a tick, but the breakball changeup didn't quite have the bite, and he still executed them, but they were just up just a tick. And he gets Grahovic in a 1-2 count and leaves the changeup up just tick, not a bad pitch, just up enough that he can poke it into right. I think 3-2 on Lavalette, same thing, a pretty good pitch, but up just enough that he pulls for a double. But Greg did exactly what we needed him to do. That dude came out, he set the tone for the game. He held him off the scoreboard when we were able to hang 5 and really emptied it for us there. And like I said, I think everything was teed up, exactly. If you had told me you'd give me a 5-2 lead in the 5th inning and T-Fay coming into the game, I'd say, hey, we don't even need to play. Let's just start right there. Let's go. And like I said, it just wasn't T-Fay's day today. But I thought Greg competed his tail off.
Yeah, Coach, how tough is it to navigate through this A&M lineup when you have 3 probably future top 10 picks starting at the top of that order? Yeah,
I mean, you think you get through the first 3 and you're like, oh, thank goodness. And then you got Appel sitting there in the 4, and then you've got, Ted Burton in the 5. Schott had a good day today. Camarillo just runs out tough match. Chestnut in the 9 had some really tough at bats. I thought we put them on for free a little bit too many times today, but just thought there's not really a place to breathe in there, and you just have to execute pitches, and that's what good lineups do. Is there's outs to be had in there, like there's outs to be had, but you just have to execute. Because if you don't, they control the strike zone at a really high level. They can do damage on the baseball. I mean, they hit for power, but they also compete with 2 strikes. So it's just one of those things. You execute pitches, they're pitchable, like everybody is. Like Gage Miller's pitchable, Braden Montgomery's pitchable. It's not easy, and the margin for error is really, really thin, but you can pitch to them. But it's hard. If you miss, they make you pay, and that's what makes that lineup really good. When we're really going on it. I think we do that as well. We can kind of lean on guys and make it hard to navigate. But that's a heck of a lineup for Texas A&M, and that's, like I said, they played like the #1 team in the country this weekend. They were steady, they were relentless, they were good on the mound, they were elite at the plate. It was a good day for them for sure.
Anything else?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.